the hug that stole the spotlight at my sister's wedding. Growing up, my sister Emma and I had always been at odds. She was the golden child, the one with the dazzling smile, endless charm, and a natural ability to make everyone love her. Me? I was the quieter, more awkward one, the shadow behind her brilliance. As kids, our rivalry was mild, mostly innocent bickering over who got more attention from our parents. But as we grew older, that rivalry deepened into something more toxic. By the time we were adults, it became clear to everyone, especially to me, that Emma had no real interest in being close to me. She thrived on comparisons, and in her mind, I was always coming up short. It hurt, but I had gotten used to it over the years, learning to accept that our relationship would never be one of love and support, but rather one of barely concealed resentment. So when Emma announced she was getting married to Liam, a smart, handsome, and successful man, I expected to be a part of the wedding, but not without some tension. I was her sister, after all. But I knew deep down that this wedding was going to be yet another stage for her to shine, and for me to be reminded that I would never measure up. The months leading up to the wedding were tense. Emma kept me at arm's length when it came to planning, relegating me to a role that felt more like an obligation than a desire for me to truly be a part of her big day. She picked out the dress for me, an admittedly beautiful gown, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was just another accessory in her perfect day. I went along with everything, swallowing my pride and hoping that at least during the wedding we could have a few moments of sisterly peace. But the day of the wedding proved to be anything but peaceful. The venue was grand, a sprawling garden estate with towering trees, fountains, and flowers blooming in every corner. It looked like something out of a fairy tale. As I arrived, trying my best to look the part of the supportive sister, my stomach churned with nerves. I didn't expect Emma to be warm, but I also didn't anticipate what was about to unfold. The moment I stepped inside, I could feel the eyes of the guests on me. I wasn't part of Emma's inner circle, the group of friends who adored her and were her bridesmaids. I stood awkwardly in the back, trying to stay out of the way, but even then I couldn't avoid the whispers and the glances. Finally, I gathered the courage to approach Emma. She was surrounded by her bridesmaids, all of them laughing and fawning over how stunning she looked. And she did look stunning. Her wedding gown was pure elegance, her hair and makeup flawless. It was exactly the kind of wedding I had always imagined Emma having. But when she turned to face me, her expression hardened. "Oh," she said, her tone cold and cutting, "you actually made it." Her eyes quickly scanned me from head to toe, and she let out a mocking laugh. "I see you finally decided to dress up. It's about time." My heart sank. It wasn't the first time Emma had made me feel small, but for some reason, her words cut deeper than usual today. Maybe it was because I had hoped, foolishly, that her wedding day would bring out a different side of her, a softer side, the sister who could actually show some love. But there was no love in her voice, just more of the same derision and superiority I had grown accustomed to. I forced a smile, trying not to let her words get to me. "Congratulations, Emma. You look beautiful," she smirked. "Of course I do. It's my wedding day." She turned back to her friends, leaving me standing there, humiliated. Her friends snickered, and I could feel the weight of their judgment pressing down on me. I wanted to shrink into the floor, to disappear entirely. But instead, I walked away, retreating to a quiet corner of the reception hall, trying to compose myself. The ceremony began shortly after, and as I sat there watching Emma and Liam exchange vows, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. Part of me was happy for her. She had found someone who adored her, and I hoped, despite everything, that their marriage would bring her some semblance of peace. But another part of me couldn't help but feel bitter. I had always wanted a close relationship with my sister, but that dream seemed more impossible than ever now. Liam was everything Emma had always wanted in a husband: handsome, successful, and charming. I had met him a handful of times before, and he had always been polite, though we never had much of a connection. Still, as I watched him standing there, looking at Emma with so much love in his eyes, I couldn't help but wonder if he truly knew her, the real her. Did he know how cruel she could be? Or had he only ever seen the perfect version of her that she presented to the world? As the ceremony came to a close, I decided to leave as soon as possible. I had fulfilled my role as the dutiful sister, and I didn't want to stick around for more of Emma's jabs. But before I could slip away, something happened that I never could have predicted. I was standing near the exit, trying to stay out of sight, when I heard someone call my name. I turned around, and to my surprise, it was Liam, walking toward me. He had just finished taking pictures with Emma and their guests, and I had assumed he would be too busy to notice me, but here he was, making a beeline for me. "Hey," he said, his voice warm and genuine. "I'm really glad you came today." I blinked, confused. "Thanks," I replied, unsure of what else to say. Why was he talking to me like this? He had never shown much interest in me before, so why now? Before I could ask, he did something that stunned me, and everyone else in the room. Liam pulled me into a tight hug. It wasn't a quick, polite hug. It was a deep, heartfelt embrace, the kind you give to someone you truly care about. I stood there, frozen, as he held me, my mind racing with confusion and shock. The room went silent. I could feel the eyes of every guest on us, including Emma's. When I finally pulled away from Liam, I saw the expression on her face. She was livid. Her mouth was slightly open in disbelief, her cheeks flushed red with anger. She looked like she was about to explode. But before she could say anything, Liam leaned in close to me, his voice low so only I could hear. "You've always deserved better," he whispered, his words sending a shockwave through me. I pulled back, stunned. What did he mean by that? Why would he say something like that to me on his wedding day, no less? I searched his face for answers, but all I saw was kindness and sincerity. He gave me a small, reassuring smile before walking back toward Emma, leaving me standing there in a daze. Emma glared at me, her eyes filled with venom. It was clear that whatever Liam had done, it had struck a nerve. She stormed off toward him, her perfect bridal composure slipping for just a moment, revealing the true anger boiling beneath the surface. I didn't stick around to see what happened next. I grabbed my things and left the wedding, my mind swirling with questions. Why had Liam hugged me like that? What had he meant by his words? And more importantly, how was this going to change everything between me and Emma? As I drove home, the memory of that hug lingered in my mind. For the first time in a long time, I felt seen, really seen. And for once, it wasn't Emma who had all the power. The dynamic between us had shifted, and even though I didn't fully understand what had just happened, I knew that things would never be the same. At her sister Emma's wedding, the last thing she expected was to steal the spotlight. Insulted and humiliated by Emma, she was ready to leave quietly until Emma's fiancé, Liam, approached and hugged her in front of everyone. The unexpected gesture shocked not only the guests, but also Emma herself, leaving everyone wondering what it meant. In a single moment, the power dynamics shifted, and Emma's perfect day turned into an unforgettable revelation.